Okay, with that, we're on to word questions. So let's start with it. We've got a football player. We'll draw him right down here. He is a stick figure. That is my drawing certainty on this board. He is starting at the 30-yard line. And he first is going to run for 9 seconds. So if this is position 0 and this is position 1, time from 0 to 1 is going to be equal to 9 seconds. And during that run, he's running at 10 feet per second. So velocity 0 to 1 is going to be equal to 10 feet per second. This feels weird because normally I give you guys questions in metric. Okay, next thing that happens, yeah, we'll keep it in the same color. He is going to stop for 1 second, so between 1 and 2, there is 1 second pause. And if he's stopped, then velocity from 1 to 2 is going to be 0 feet per second because he's not moving. And then finally, he goes to what we'll call position 3. He's going to go another 5 yards, so we have a distance now. So we can say that delta x from 2 to 3 is going to be equal to, good grief, 5 yards. And the velocity between 2 and 3 is going to be equal to 5 feet per second. Good. I did do the unit conversions. I'm not just being silly. Okay. And then using the symbols for what a retired faculty member like to do, we have our WTF, what to find. What are we being asked for in this problem? We have, this is all the information that we know. What do we want? We want to know position at 3, the final position. So x3, we need to find. We need to find the total delta x from 1 to 3. And we need to find the average velocity between 1 and 3. So that is what we are after. Great. So, x3, position at time 3. In order to solve this, we have 3 steps. So x0, let's go ahead and convert all of these to yards right away because I've got my initial position in yards and we're talking football, so it probably makes sense to have it in yards, which means I may need a calculator because my notes do not have this in yards. So 10 feet per second is going to be, you know what? Let's put it up here. We've got 10 feet per second, and I would like this to be in yards per second. So I know that 3 feet is 1 yard. So I've got 10/3. Do I just leave it as 10/3? Let's leave it as 10/3, or 3 1/3. 10/3 yards per second. And I will go ahead and add that into my piece here. Velocity between 0 and 1 is 10 yards per second. Perfect. What else do I have in feet? 0 feet per second is 0 yards per second. That is easy. 5 feet per second is just going to be velocity 2 to 3. That is way too big. Still learning how to work on this small screen. Is going to be equal to 5/3 yards per second. Okay, well, I've got 3 steps here. So let's figure out what is my change in position between 0 and 1. Okay, so we have our base equation. We know that x1 is equal to x0 plus velocity between 0 to 1 times my time between 0 and 1. I have, if I want delta x, I can subtract this x over, so I have x1 minus x0, which is going to be equal to my delta x is going from 0 to 1 is going to be equal to my velocity from 0 to 1 times time from 0 to 1 is time 1 minus time 0. And I have time, actually I have time from 0 to 1, so I can say that delta x from 0 to 1 is going to be equal to my velocity from 0 to 1, which is 10/3 yards per second, times my time, which is 9 seconds. My seconds are going to cancel, and I will get an answer in yards. So that is 10 times 3 because the other 3's cancel. So we have delta x from 0 to 1 is going to be equal to 30 yards. So at time 1, he has moved 30 yards up the field. And if we want to know exactly where that is, we can say that it is 30 yards past the 30-yard line. So I am at 60 yards at this time. That looks absolutely terrible on the screen. I apologize. 60 yards. So I moved to the 60-yard line. Perfect. Okay, same thing between 1 and 2, except we're not actually going to write it all out because my velocity is 0. If I have a velocity of 0, I'm not moving, so I am still at the same place. Now time has passed, but I'm not moving. And then finally, I go another 5 yards in the next 5 seconds. So I already have this delta x. So I know that at this position, at my very end, I have gone 30 yards plus another 5 yards. So I've gone 35 yards, and I have made it to the 65-yard line, which all of the football players are going to complain about because that is just the opponent's 45-yard line. Unless we're going towards the end zone, in which case we just went 5 yards into the end zone for some reason after stopping at the goal line. But this is physics, not football. I'm sorry. So we've actually answered at this point 2 of our what defines. We have x3. Exit time 3 is 65 yards. And delta x We've got a delta x between these two of 30 yards, a delta x between these two of 5, a delta x between these two of 0. So that is going to be equal to 35 yards. Perfect. Velocity average. Okay. Velocity average, we know, is going to be equal to my total change in position divided by my total change in time, which means I have my position at time 3 minus my position at time 0. That is my total change in position divided by my total change in time. So that is my time at time 3 minus my time at time 0. Okay, well, my position at time 3 is going to be 65 yards. My position at time 0 is 30 yards. My time at time 3, we have to figure out still. That's still an unknown. We're going to have to use something else to find that. And my time at time 0, we're going to say we start at a time of 0 seconds. So what is my time at time 3? Well, from 0 to 1 is 9 seconds. From 1 to 2 is 1 second. And time from 2 to 3 I was not given. Slowly losing more and more workspace. Okay, how can I find my time at time 2 to 3? Time 2 to 3, I know that I can throw in my normal equation. x3 is equal to x2 plus velocity 2 to 3 times time 2 to 3. And look at that, I have found a place where my time 2 to 3 shows up in the equation. So I can work with that. My x at position 3, I know, is 65 yards. My x at time 2, I know, is 60 yards. My velocity between 2 and 3, I know, is 5/3 yard per second. And my time 2 to 3 is what I'm trying to find. So I have one equation, one unknown. Should be able to solve that. Subtract the 60 across. I've got 5 yards is equal to 5/3 yard per second times time. Divide the 5 by 5/3, so that is 5 divided by 5 over 3. The 5s are going to cancel, and I get 3 seconds is going to be my time. So time 2 to 3, have to use the cloth, is going to be 3 seconds. We'll erase all of this. Not that you actually want to see my face, but that is the purpose of this board. So total time. So time at time 3, we've gone 9 seconds to get to time 1, 10 seconds to get to time 2, 13 seconds to get to time 3. I can erase this guy right here. Hopefully this is going to match my notes and I didn't make a mistake. So I have my average velocity is going to be 65 minus 30, which is 35 yards, divided by 13 seconds. So that is a number that I cannot do in my head, but I do have that on my notes, which means that I can say that that is 2.69 yards per second, and I can multiply that by 3 and say that I'm going about 8.08 feet per second. And that is my last what to find. So I can now say that I have successfully solved the problem. Perfect. I think there's one more for today.